Right Network. Mobilizing, countering the left, energizing the right. New Right Network, home of the New Right movement.
All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to New Right Network's original series, SmythTV. Your host, Brian Smith, and
Kerry Smith.
Giving you all the breaking news of the day, wrapping it all up, making sense of it, exposing the fake news, and giving you the real news. And today's show, Friday Motivation. Trump is winning, and he's exposing the unhinged hypocrisy of the Democrats.
As always.
Absolutely, as always. You see, folks, the format of the show, for those of you who are new, please crush the like, crush the follow, crush the share. Down in the bottom in the show notes, or in the description below, click the link that says full show notes. That'll take you over to newrightnetwork.com's page, where you'll be able to see the video for the show, as well as all the notes, because the YouTubes and the Facebooks, they don't like all that notes. So it's just too much.
You stop doing that?
Well, if I put it all in there, YouTube says too much information. Too much. Yeah, you can't go too much.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
So we made it simple. Just click on the link, take you over there, and you follow along. And if you have the app called Telegram, or if you don't have the app called Telegram, please go down in the description below and get the app Telegram, and then you can have us 24/7 and explain it.
I got to explain this. Brian taught me a long time ago that Pepsi wants to be sold next to Coca-Cola. Pepsi wants Coca-Cola in their refrigerator.
Oh, yeah.
Burger King wants McDonald's right next door. Because I was like, no, you got to have exclusivity. No. So, you know all of our favorite banned people from Twitter.
Yeah, everybody that's banned.
The ones that were so popular because of such wonderful things that they would post, and then eventually they got banned because of their effectiveness.
Right.
They're all on Telegram too, and we'll share their stuff with you. So make sure you go down. You said the link was where for us?
It's right in the description below, right underneath the iHeart link, where you can listen to us audio only, iHeart. Okay. Right under that, it says Telegram. It says don't miss a single show.
Yes, definitely. You want to sign up for us, and then we'll let you know all the others. And I do it. I have a whole entire feed of all of these. Gavin McInnes, Milo Yiannopoulos is in there, Laura Loomer's in there, all these great people that we miss so much. Some of them you might have forgotten. A lot of people have forgotten about Milo because he's been so silenced, and yet he is fully uncensored on Twitter, on Telegram now, and they have yet to ban him yet. There's several others in there that have been banned that are on there. We're in there, and it's just great. Even Prison Planet's in there, who's not been banned from Twitter yet, but you're anticipating it, right?
When you're removed from Facebook and you're removed from their sister platform, Instagram, and if I post something pro Prison Planet, I will also get banned. Yeah. Twitter's right around the corner.
Yeah, and so, and also don't forget that just the act of banning other people censors those that have not been banned, because you're always going to be very careful what you say. So you are self-censoring on Twitter. Telegram, no, it's just wide open. So it's awesome. So check that out.
And again, when we put out things on Telegram, it's just only going to be a link to the show. It'll also give you the link to the show on YouTube, Facebook, Periscope Live, and then a link to the show notes, just 1, 2, 3, 4 for the day, and then
that's it.
The thumbnail picture that'll go with the day's title, and that's it. We won't blast you whatsoever, so you can absolutely get it, because people complain, I didn't get the notification.
Okay, and that's the way to get it. And since you have Telegram downloaded, if you become a Patreon patron of us for only $1 a month, we have people who donate a lot more, and we thank them for that. We thank each and every one of our patrons. And if you would like to contribute, and why would you do this? Why would you send us money? Because this isn't free, and we love to do this, and we love to inform you. And we're not just informing you, we're informing everybody. So your contribution goes towards informing hundreds or even thousands of people, maybe tens of thousands of people. Whoever's watching the video at any point in time is going to get educated. If you think that what we're doing is great, you should definitely support that. And when you do, you have the opportunity to become in our exclusive Telegram group. It's like a mega meetup on a daily basis, 24/7. It's a lot of fun. People become lifelong friends in there. It's just great. So make sure you guys do that too.
Right. And you can bounce different ideas. We use some of the stuff for show prep as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. You become part of the Smith family at that point.
Without a doubt. So today we're talking about fighting Trump's successes. The vote for 2020 is on like Donkey Kong. Donald Trump Monday, huge rally. Tuesday, huge election. Folks, it is happening. Donald Trump is going around the country telling us who we should be voting for that has the America First agenda, the Keep America Great Again. That's how we keep America great, staying plugged into shows like this and listening and watching Donald Trump's rallies, investigating the people that he's promoting. Look at who they are. And soon we can take back Congress, keep the Senate, take back Congress, and get a great president in there. We've got some border information going on. Christianity, man. As Christians, we need to embrace those who are practicing Islam to help them see that Jesus Christ is your freedom, no longer suppression, no longer enslaved. But Islam is a very angry thing. And in Congress, we've got the Islamic Congress attacking Christianity and the founding of our country. This has to be exposed. A little bit of Iran stuff, and then we'll wrap it up with Trump winning. And Dinesh D'Souza gives us some advice on what to do next after free speech is totally gone.
Oh, gosh. Well, we might need that. It's almost like survival for oppression or adversity in that respect.
This at the Washington Times. Nevada passes national popular vote bill in bid to upend electoral college.
Yeah, this is pretty clever and diabolical. So you guys may or may not know why we have an electoral college. It's kind of like it gives each state more say if they're small. Rhode Island and or a very
Montana.
Wyoming, I think, has a very low population too. So these very not very populated states could get totally drowned out, which would actually eliminate the reason for being united as the United States anyway, right? Why would we give away everything? So they came up with the Electoral College in order to make sure that each state has a proper say, where it's weighted towards your population, but you don't get totally drowned out. So that's the Electoral College. So we don't elect our president directly. We do it through our state. And that's why the Electoral College is there. And it's actually been the thing that makes our country, our form of government so awesome. So why do they want to do a national popular vote? To eliminate that kind of thing. Now, they can't just go forward and say, all right, we're going to get rid of the Electoral College. They can't do that. It has to go through Congress. They don't have control of Congress. It just won't happen. It would require a total amendment.
You would need
like two-thirds. Yeah. For amendment, you need, it's very hard to do an amendment, and that's what would be required to get rid of the Electoral College. So on its face, you would say, why are we even talking about this? It's a non-starter. It's not going to happen. So these states, Nevada being the latest, and I think there's a couple others who are either in talks or have already done this, have come up with a very clever bypass, a loophole, if you will, that kind of eliminates the Electoral College, at least for their state. And the more states that do this, the more we marginalize the Electoral College. And here's how it works. Regardless of what the state votes, the Electoral College votes for that state will all vote for whatever the national popular vote was. So, for instance, let's just say Nevada popular vote was for Donald Trump. Their Electoral College, historically, their votes would all go towards Donald Trump. However, regardless of whether it was legal or not, Hillary Clinton did, in fact, get the national popular vote. She got like 3 million more. Whether those were legal or not, who knows? Neither here nor there. The new bill will say that, okay, even though Nevada won their voters voted for Donald Trump in Nevada.
Right. We are going to
give it to Hillary Clinton because she won the popular vote. Now, some of you are saying, well, then why even vote to begin with? Because those Nevada residents are voting for a national vote. So their vote does count towards the national total, but their electoral college is going to go with the national total, not the state total. Now, why is this so bad? You're disenfranchising the popular vote of Nevada residents.
Correct. And so
bad.
And so the bill 186, which passed the Senate on a 12-8 vote, so it's kind of close, not really. I guess it's probably down party lines, would bring Nevada into the National Popular Interstate Compact, an agreement between participating states to cast their electoral votes for the winner of the popular vote.
So now there's no reason to go to Nevada if you're a president. There's no reason.
No.
If you're a presidential candidate, there's zero reason to go to Nevada, this is why that's bad. You don't get to talk to him, your representatives, or you personally, if you are a Nevada resident, you won't be able to go up and say, Nevada residents want this. Can you deliver? You can't even bring it up because he'll be in LA, he'll be in New York, because this is where the popular centers of population are. And as long as you get the popular vote, you get Nevada votes.
Probably wouldn't come to Cincinnati, not anymore.
If Ohio did the same thing,
right,
wouldn't come to Ohio at all.
And
why?
And I tell you what, Ohio's a battleground.
Yeah,
truly.
Now Nevada's been kind of, I don't know if it's considered a swing state. There's more. It's got not very many electoral college votes. The ones that have high electoral college votes that could swing either way are historically considered swing votes. But if Ohio were to do something like that, Ohio would no longer be important.
No, and Ohio would have gone to Hillary Clinton.
Right. And that would have been it.
It's all over with.
Which means New York and California would be the two states that are really
they own America.
Yes.
Right. And so further in the article, it says, if signed as expected by Democrat Governor Steve Sisolak.
Nice pronunciation there.
Sisolak. Nevada would become the 16th jurisdiction to join the compact along with 14 states and the District of Columbia. The compact would take effect after states totaling 270 electoral votes.
14 states are doing this? Yeah, they're definitely, whew.
And with Nevada, the total would reach 195, not 270.
So the compact would not take effect until they reach 270 electoral. Okay, so this is a compact. They're agreeing to do this if their total electoral, the whole group of states, their electoral college votes have to add up to 270 before any of these guys decide to turn this into law. Nevada's agreement to puts it at 195. So they need another 75 electoral college votes in order for this whole pact to be put in place.
That's insane.
Hopefully that was a good enough explanation.
Yeah, and that's insane because I'm just shocked they got 195.
Well, 14 states, including the District of Columbia, that's 15 total territories, if you want to call it that. Trump gets the national total greater than his competitor, then all of our electoral college votes. You don't understand that he has no reason to come to Ohio anymore.
Right. So I tweeted this out from Breitbart.com. Representatives Crenshaw, Waltz, Gallagher urge more Republican veterans to run for Congress.
Oh, I like it.
Folks, I got Kerry running for local city council member.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
I know there's a spot opening up in our town for me, I believe in 2020 for council member. We're involved. We're deep involved in the campaigns and rubbing elbows with the people who are in the know and know when meetings are happening and when things are getting together, when Trump's coming to town, helping out, volunteering freely for the Trump campaign in whatever capacity we can. Folks, this is a battle royale, if you will.
Right.
And there has never been a time where you've been needed. Folks, you're hearing the call.
You got to take action.
The call is now. You've got to get involved. If you've got some kind of health issues or ailments or things like that, and I've mentioned this before, then you need to help with one of two things. Either one, There's an app that you get involved with the Republican Party. You can actually call friendlies. You can call other Trump supporters on an app that is registered and recorded with the GOP to let them know who you're calling, and you know who you're calling. And all you're doing is testing the waters and see how they feel about Trump still. Mm-hmm. That information gets back to Trump. If you really, really can't do either one of those, Smyth.TV, there's a Patreon button, there's a PayPal button, there's merchandise, whatever it takes. Folks, this is going to be the mainstream media. This is where the kids get their information from, is on the internet. They are not watching MSNBC, CBS, and
thank God,
TV
because
shows.
They're being the people on Facebook. I don't know if we call them boomers, because there are some millennials there too. Yeah. They are so misinformed. I mean, I threw out. I was watching CBS this morning when I woke up one morning, and I'm listening to lie after lie after lie. This is not CNN. This is not MSNBC. This is not Rachel Maddow. This is what people turn on, normal people, in the morning when they're having their coffee, getting ready for work. CBS this morning. And they're just spewing the same kind of lies that you see on CNN. So I type up something on Facebook pointing out what was lied about, why it was a lie, what the truth is, and people that are Trump supporters were responding by saying, well, what's truth anymore, Carrie? What's true? How do you even know what's true anymore? And I'm like, oh my God, these lies in the fake stream media are working.
Right.
So yes, you have to support the new media, New Right Network, the people who are on this channel, other people who are trying to put out real news. You got to support them. You got to turn off the fake stream media and the cable, because it's working, people. And it's not because people are stupid. It's because it's what they're being exposed to.
So as we're talking about all this, folks, this is where it's at. You got to stay plugged in. This is the real news. This is where Medium is coming from. We've got America Voice doing great, just phenomenal moving forward. Wayne Dupree's on that show, as well as New Right Network. Wayne Dupree's with us as well. We are live Monday through Friday, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern. And right after this show, Wayne Dupree's show. So sometimes you might even catch us on Wayne Dupree's show. I'm just saying, stay plugged into the real news.
It's incestuous.
It is definitely incestuous. And so let's jump into some of the topics that are going on. We're talking about the border and what's going on with the border wall. So earlier this week, we know that Sarah Huckabee Sanders was talking on Fox News, and they posed to her about 2 miles of fence being built. She's like, that's crazy. The number is close to about 150 miles of the fence built, and that includes stuff that's been laid down, tore down, fallen down, stuff that isn't working, and parts that have no wall. And their goal, 500 miles before the end of the year.
That's good. For those of you who didn't know this, I'm pretty sure I reported this, but it would have been a long time ago. The distance between the Pacific Ocean and the part of the Rio Grande that connects, the Rio Grande is our border from the Gulf of Mexico all the way up to the western edge of Texas. That point all the way to the Pacific Ocean is 700 miles. So really, if you did 700 miles of very good, thick, high wall to that point, and then use the natural barrier of the river, and I know that river's pretty narrow and pretty shallow.
And they do have barrier along the river at parts and places. People do cross the river. However, it's easier to cross where the river isn't.
Yeah, where there's like literally desert on Mexico, America, desert, no wall. Yeah, just walk across that. But 150 miles out of 700 miles is in good shape. 500 out of 700 sounds great. I'd love to know, that you talk about the billions and billions of dollars that it costs to build a real barrier that actually works. Where that high price comes from is not that 700 mile stretch. There's a lot of engineering that they have to deal with when it comes to the watershed.
Right.
A flood cannot be hindered by the fence or a wall, or it will knock it down.
Oh,
It'll obliterate a full. You've seen what the tsunami did to Tokyo or Japan back in the day. Was it 2013 or 2007? Whenever that happened, destroyed entire towns. if a flood happens along the Rio Grande in that flood area, not the flood area, but the watershed, might as well not have built the fence. So that's why they have to come up with very clever engineering solutions to deal with the watershed.
And different places require different things. And so you're doing multiple tasks same time. Not only that, but you're getting the stuff, the product, the thing has to be shipped out there. Then you've got to take care of the people and the workers and the heat and the drying, just all of it, the logistics part of it.
The way gangsters did it back in the day was if somebody owed you money, you had to decide whether it was cheaper to go after them to collect the money or cheaper to just off them.
Right. Okay.
And so I'm still open to the possibility of annexing at least a portion of Mexico.
Oh,
Brian doesn't like that. But the thing is the watershed goes to the top of the peaks, and we could just take the watershed location of Mexico.
All right.
You're not down with that?
Well, if we would have never have given Mexico back to Mexico, we would have been okay.
Why you got to bring up old stuff?
Revisit his history. So check this out. Check this out real quick. This is Gateway Pundit posted this in an article. This is Laura Ingraham. Disgusting liberals. One you haven't heard of that I have never heard of, but again, there's a lot of them in Congress. Laureen Underwood. She's making headwaves, and this is Laura Ingraham talking about the border wall, the Democrats, and the issues at stake.
And think about this, like the USMCA. Remember that was supposed to replace NAFTA? That took more than a year of serious, good faith negotiations. United States, Canada, Mexico. And yet Pelosi, she won't even bring it up for a vote. Nor is she going to do what's necessary to address the crisis at the border, which is beyond disturbing. No asylum reform from her, no additional money for judges to fast track hearings, no money for beds or of any place to put unaccompanied minors or family units. So they're spilling out of Border Patrol facilities that are never intended to house them. But what does her caucus do? Well, what they do is what she taught them. Finger point and then accuse members of Trump's cabinet.
Okay, now remember, she what the Democrats are doing right now is what Obama did for 8 years. Suffrage and pain and as much as possible, bring the pain. And now that Pelosi has the purse strings, the money from she controls the money, she is refusing to give help and aid to the border.
So you're saying the suffering is intentional?
Yes.
And so you could pass it off as being blamed on Trump.
Right. And listen to the representative Democrat wondering why and saying this isn't necessary.
At this point, with 5 kids that have died, 5,000 separated from their families, I feel like, and the evidence is really clear, that this is intentional. It's intentional. It's a policy choice being made on purpose by this administration, and it's cruel and inhumane.
That's an appalling accusation, and our men and women fight hard to protect people in our custody every single day. We've asked for this resources 3 weeks ago. It hasn't been responded to by Congress.
You refused to listen to him. That's not the point. You said he intentionally supported policies that caused the death of children. That is wrong. Your words need to be taken down.
Mr. Rankings member, this happened this week. Yesterday, another child died under his leadership.
Because we can't get the resources to help them. That's what he's here trying to get, is the money to stop this.
Okay, so I'm glad that we're discussing this on a day that I'm coming back to this show, because this is so important. People die. Okay, people die. And let me tell you a little story. We all know how many people are coming across the border. It's in the hundreds of thousands.
Hundreds of thousands.
Hundreds of that. Over time, millions of people. Let me tell you a little story that's going to be a brain blower for you.
Nevada?
Yes,
Nevada. This blew my mind, and I thank you, Carrie, for remembering that.
And this is important. This is so important for our border crisis where people are dying, okay? People die, and here's the story. So the Las Vegas shooting happens. You guys remember this a couple of years ago? And there were 22,000 people at that concert, and I think it was like 68 of them were killed, something like that. And so 22,000 survivors of this thing, and they freaked out and all this kind of stuff. And there were all these conspiracy theories. Why did this happen? Who's responsible? Who's behind it? Were there any other shooters? Were there any other people? All of a sudden, a couple months go by, and we're hearing reports of so-and-so, who's a survivor of the Las Vegas shooting, died in a car wreck. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, man, that's so weird. This guy, he's so young. He's in his 20s or he's in his 30s. He survives this horrific massacre. Only months later, winds up dead anyway. It's such a weird thing. It's almost like that movie, Final Destination.
Oh no, I hated that movie.
Yeah, where if you thwart death, you don't really thwart it. You
end up getting it for
anyway. Yeah, it's coming for you. And so all of a sudden, a couple weeks later, you hear about another survivor dying, and you're like, what? And then somebody else does, and they're all like normal things, but you're like, that's so weird, so bizarre. Like a car accident. Somebody died of a disease.
We're not
cancer.
We're not talking about Vince Foster type of death.
Well, there were a couple that died in violent activities such as a robbery or whatever, and so all this stuff is going on, and by the sixth death, people are now conspiracy theorists. They're like, whoa! I think the CIA or the FBI is going around and trying to kill survivors to cover it up. Right. So I'm like, wow, this seems kind of weird, but hold on a second. Hold on. How many survivors were there? 22,000 people were at this thing. I decided, is this a greater number of deaths than what would be expected based on the mortality rate? And I honestly thought I wasn't going to be able to find this. I want to find out what the mortality rate is of people of this particular age range that are American. So these are American citizens between the ages of 25 and 35. Believe it or not, there is a mortality rate, government statistics that you can find. You can look it up. They're on Google. They're publicly available. Turns out that the mortality rate amongst American citizens of that particular age range mirrored the number of people who were survivors of that death. Exactly.
So 22,000 survive.
Multiply it by the mortality rate, and also it's yearly. Okay.
Right.
So you got to divide it by 12 for monthly, and it was like a year old at that point. So I did take the whole year statistics. Turns out that the number of people that died that were survivors of that were exactly what you would expect for that age range in America.
Okay, so we've got 5 dead children. Now, I'm not sure exactly how many children are there on the border, but if there's we're talking hundreds of thousands coming.
Hundreds. This is way more than the 22,000.
And we're talking hundreds of thousands of people, men, women, and children,
and
old,
by the
young,
way,
whatever.
They're from what amounts to be a third world country.
So their health isn't as good as it probably should be.
There's all kinds of issues. Nutrition is probably totally different.
Oh, that was the other.
Environmental factors.
They're saying they're bringing diseases that they're seeing the possible bubonic plague coming back.
Possibly, although that LA is that's happening with LA because they're garbage,
because of the rats and stuff. Yeah. But they're saying that there are diseases that are coming back that have been eliminated and haven't been seen,
like mumps and measles and all kinds of stuff
since the 1800s when the penicillin was invented.
Right. So we're gonna have to combat these things again. But here's the point.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah.
100. That's like 5. Let's just say 100,000 people. You know, it's hundreds of thousands per month.
Right.
But let's just take 100,000 people. We're not talking about Americans. We're talking about people from what amount to be a third world country, where they have different nutrition, lack of nutrition, lack of medical care. Also, these aren't people just living in their home and doing their normal thing. Yeah. They're traveling. They're on an epic trek. It's like a mass exodus across thousands of miles of desert and rough terrain, climbing fences, going through rivers.
Right. Where's your food? Where's your water? And that's the number one thing is dehydration.
Right.
Where's your food? Where's your water? And how is your health when you started the trek? If you're not a triathlon, if you're not some daily marathon runner.
I'll take it the opposite of what Brian's saying. If you feel like I'm not healthy and my only chance is to get good health care, I need to get to America. So there may be people who are actually even less healthy than normal who are like, hey, my only chance to survive here is to get to America.
I'm gonna die anyways.
That all being said, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me right now. I will get those for you in the next chance I get. And if it's in an episode that I'm not here, I'll make sure Brian gets it. But the statistics for mortality, I promise you, are not only at least mirroring what we're seeing in the death toll of people just showing up to ICE,
right? Showing
up in border control. I would suspect that it might even be better. You might have a better mortality rate of less death under their care than normal.
Right, because they're getting American health care. They're getting the hospitals that are there.
You're getting monitored like 24/7. You're in their custody.
Right. The Border Patrol agents take you indoors, air conditioning, water, food, good food, healthy food.
Health care. They're giving you whatever you need in medical care right then and there. I'm telling you people right now, I'm willing to bet everything. I'm willing to announce that we will shut this show down if you prove me otherwise. Brian's not on board. I'm on board. If you could show me
I believe sure.
that the death rate for those in custody of Border Patrol or in ICE or wherever is actually greater than what would be expected based on the mortality rate of this particular group of people from the countries that they're from, and also in the age range that we're talking.
Right. And they're talking and complaining about babies dying. The babies are dying. Think about babies in heat just in general.
Yeah.
Their bodies are not functioning in high temperature heat, desert. They get dehydrated. You hear all the awful, horrible stories of babies dying in cars that were accidentally left in the car too long. And now we're talking about pulling babies through the desert.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
You know, when we were in the Marine Corps boot camp, we did a 20-mile hike, but we didn't say, all right, guys, load up. We're going on a 20-mile hike. No, we went on a 5-mile hike. Then a couple days later, we went on a 10-mile hike. A couple days after that, we went on a 15-mile hike. And then guess what? We finally loaded up for the 20-mile hike. Who here runs marathons? I don't. You see, Billy, I ain't doing no marathon. Dude, people that run marathons, and I know one of our wrestling coaches ran marathons, but months prior to running the marathon, he would start doing regular runs at shorter distances and work their way up. Same thing with fasting. Have you heard about this new fasting diet?
Yeah, my wife was doing a little something with that. Yeah.
I'm working with somebody. I never heard of this until this guy told me he was fasting for like 2 weeks or something like that. I'm like, that's fatal, I think, isn't it? It turns out you can do this if you start just a couple days of fasting or maybe a couple hours of fasting. Like for me, 5 hours of fasting, that's max.
I got a break. I got to work myself up to 3.5 hours.
Yeah. So, right. So to do like a whole week of fasting takes a lot of training your body to get there. That being said, these people that are walking 2,000 miles to come here with small children, people with health issues, I would like to know what kind of training they did for that.
I promise you ain't none.
Very little.
The one family that they caught up with, the wife, the husband, the kids, the grandma, the moms, the dads, it was a whole crew of them that came up here, and they told news people on the ground, like media like us on the ground, they told them, they said, we owned a business, a family business. And the drug cartel and the money guys kept coming to our store, wanting payoffs, wanting money. We couldn't handle it no more. Lost it, and saw the commercial that says, bring your family to America.
Who's paying for these commercials?
Start your business. They all came because they were told, and they picked up on a moment's notice.
Wow.
They were all told, and you could see these folks are heavy set. I mean, they're not in like the best of shape. They got the iPhones, they got the smartphones and stuff.
They're casting from their location at the border.
Okay, so anyway, while the Democrats are manufacturing a crisis.
And people die. And when they do, they're going to say that they died because of Trump policies, because of American policies, because of ICE policies. But don't forget, there is a mortality rate. You can't stop it. Groundhog Day. He tried to save the old man. Guess what? It was his time.
Right.
He never could save that guy.
And so we've got this is what's going on with Pelosi and the Democrats in Congress. And here at Rashida Tlaib. And children are dying in our care at Lauren Underwood. You are a nurse first, and your unique lens is exactly what has been missing on this critical issue. So far, what they've been trying to do isn't working for anyone. This was replying to the congressperson, Lauren Underwood, who tweeted out, for over a year, it's been clear that policies at the border have harmed the physical and mental health of migrant children.
I'm telling you, it's a lie.
I believe at this point, failure to change these broken policies based on that knowledge is intentional and unacceptable.
Intentional? Oh, that's so outrageous.
And I'm going to say that, Carrie, you're right, and she's right. You're both right.
Okay, so the mortality rate is probably lower in custody of ICE or Border Patrol.
Right.
And how is she right?
Because it's manufactured by Nancy Pelosi.
Oh, that's true.
It's intentional.
Yeah.
Oh,
it is intentional.
And it's so painful, but I'm telling you guys, this is no conspiracy theory. These are the people who conspire to make these things up. These are the ones in power to change the rules.
By the way, share this show and make sure that everybody knows about the mortality rate and how people die no matter what. People died, healthy 25 to 35-year-olds were dying after surviving the Las Vegas shooting. Why? Because it's part of the mortality rate. It's life. Part of life is death.
And these people, you're talking about mortality rate of people who may live in Vegas or may have just traveled to Vegas, but are, live, I'm going to just assume, live in nice houses or decent houses or
these
apartments.
Guys are well-to-do.
Or food at the local grocery store. I mean, these people just live life in America, which is pretty good life.
Yeah. By the way, you could die tonight. I'm just saying there's a mortality rate that look, when I researched it, I was a little disturbed because I was thinking, gosh, there's a percentage chance I'm going to die this year.
But you won't wake up this morning.
Or I could just be driving down the road and get T-boned and you just don't even know.
Right.
So not to scare you, but the point is that they're using the natural part of life and statistics to lie to you, to play with your emotions.
And I pray a prayer for you, Carrie, that you don't and that you
I
survive and
pray
live
we all survive. Yeah.
Long, healthy life. Because we got to get the message out here.
Yeah.
Folks, you're watching New Right Network's original series, Smith TV. Your host, Brian Smith and
Carrie Smith.
This is the breaking news. This is the real news. You won't get this anywhere else. I mean, there's a lot of shows out there, but I'm going to tell you right now, you go ahead and look at all of them. There is not a show out there like this. Monday through Friday, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern. And we're talking about what the Democrats are doing, and they're manufacturing. When they say Trump's manufactured a crisis, it's projection. It's because they're the ones that have been doing it.
Yep.
It's call you a liar first.
Yeah. It's been going on for a long time, and it's just, it's so frustrating.
It's reminiscent of Obama is what it is.
Yeah. Well, it just never stops them. And when it comes to Democrats, they just lie.
Right. Just thought about this in my mind. Joe Biden running for president. Somebody was saying, do you want Obama's third term? And I said, it's not Obama's third term. You know what this is? It's Biden 3.0.
3.0.
VP, now trying to go for the P 3.0.
Oh, man.
No, good. So anyways, this, our good friend at Jally_Cat, CAT, responding to Nancy Pelosi because, of course, Nancy tweets out, condolences to the family of Carlos Hernandez, the fifth child to die in CBP custody since December, and a grim reminder of the human cost of the administration's extreme failed policies on our southern border.
There's your lie. There's your lie right there. Look, people die. It's part of the mortality, and condolences to him. I mean, it's a sad thing. And, it was sad when those people from the Las Vegas survivor group from the Las Vegas shooting, it's sad when those people die, especially in the prime of their life. It's like, oh my gosh, how does this happen? Same thing with the migrants or illegal immigrants, whatever you want to call them. I mean, anybody that dies, it's a part of humanity that's really sad.
Right.
But at the end of the day,
that's what it is.
It's part of life.
Yep, part of life. And so Jolly responds to her, these fake R's are nothing but propaganda, fake outrage, pushing scum who care about no thing or no one except money and power. This child is dead because of irresponsible parents allowing him to get pneumonia on their illegal journey to the U.S.
That's actually much more true than just chalking it up to, statistics, mortality rate, people are going to die. In this case, pneumonia.
Right. Pneumonia. Very likely my daughter, I think she was only 3 or 4 months old and caught pneumonia.
I remember you telling me about that. It was kind of scary because that's a life-threatening disease.
Yeah, when I took her to the hospital, she was born in January, and I think she got it in February or March in the wintertime. Took her to the hospital, IV, stayed with her all day and all night. Pneumonia that's a bit. My dad down in Florida, he's in his 70s, got pneumonia. Oh my God. He was in the hospital for a couple of weeks. It was touch and go. My stepmom just truly upset of how much it affects older and young people. It can be devastating for sure.
I mean, influenza, which is considered to be a much more survivable disease than pneumonia, 80,000 people were killed in the 2017-2018 season, according to figures released by Center for Disease Control and Prevention. Previous high for a regular flu season, based on analysis back to more than 3 decades, was 56,000 deaths.
Hold the phone.
Yeah.
How many people died in 1 year?
80,000 from flu. That's just flu alone.
They're talking about 5 kids in 5 months.
From pneumonia.
And maybe not all of them have pneumonia, but I'm just saying.
Are we being told that ICE is actually infecting them purposely with pneumonia?
She's trying to insinuate something.
Like, that's the only way that would make any sense, is if a healthy person showed up and ICE was like, you see this little girl over here? She doesn't even know it, but we're about to infect her with pneumonia and she may not survive. And if she doesn't, boom, score for us. I mean, that's literally what they're saying. That's nuts. That's insane. And it's just not logical.
Right. And juxtapose this. They're so concerned about 5 children and ICE dying, not changing the rules, not changing the law, not working with the Republicans, not sending money because it's a manufacturing crisis. This juxtaposed to this. This is the Hawaiian Mazie Hirano. She's absolutely, truly insane.
Yes.
She takes to the streets with a bullhorn. Real life kid Unot asks 8th graders advice on abortion. She went to 8th graders in a school.
This is so inappropriate.
And talked to the 8th grade girls if they would allow the government to take over their bodies. And if they should be allowed the right to choose. So we've got Democrats in office.
So inappropriate.
Preaching to children, 8th grade children, about abortion. This is why we got to take back the Department of Education, because this is so unconscionable.
Well, I don't know how it creeped into my daughter's life at such a young age, but I remember when she found out about abortion, she was taught to be highly against it, and by whoever was teaching her this stuff. And I'm just like so happy and proud that she was taught that. And so it can be taught at a young age as long as it is a pro-life position. Some people are like, well, I feel like I should decide on what my daughter or son learns, especially at a young age. But if it were to be pro-life, I feel like that's okay. Pro-choice is like, whoa, where are we going with this?
Right. No.
What is the purpose of this?
Sorry, man. Sorry. And as we're rounding out the show, coming to the end, we've got some flashbacks for you. This at Razor Smack 1. Deranged flashback. This is Rachel Mad Cow.
The AP has just broken some new news. This has just come out from the Associated Press. This is incredible. Trump administration officials have been sending babies and other young children. Oh, hold on.
Shut up. She's so fake. Oh, look how fake she
Who
is.
cries like that?
To at least 3.
Spit it
What's the
out.
graphic of this? Thank you. Do we have it? No. 3 tender age shelters in South Texas. Lawyers and medical providers. Just, I think I'm going to have to hand this off. Yeah. Sorry. That does it for us tonight. We'll see you again tomorrow. Now it is time for the last word with Lawrence O'Donnell.
I don't even know what she was trying to say. So 3 children were handed off.
Tender age. She said tender age children.
Were handed off to.
They're tender.
What was she trying to say? Separated from their family?
Probably.
That was probably aired prior to us finding out that DNA testing has proved that most, I think it was like, maybe not most, it was like 30%, I think. I'll have to look that one up too. 30% of the alleged parents of children crossing the border were not even related to these kids at all.
Right. It's a big number. Now,
That's a catastrophe.
They're asking these people, and I'm talking about new news media like us, folks, are on the ground speaking Spanish and asking these people, is that your daughter? And I think this was mainstream news. They were interviewing and they asked the guy and he's like, no, it's not my kid, right in front of the politician. It's like, God, come on. They're admitting that it's not their kid. And why did you come up? And he said, because I was told if I brought a young child with me, I was easier to come across. Yeah, this is all completely manufactured.
Yeah, here we go. Washington Examiner points out that 30% of suspected fraudulent immigrant families were
unrelated,
discovered by DNA testing. There you go.
Yep. And
there
so,
you go.
As we shift real quick, at Winston Kofefe, Muslim scholar, we should smuggle 4 pounds of anthrax in a suitcase. This big carry by a fighter through tunnels from Mexico to the U.S. and guaranteed to kill 330,000 Americans. Pelosi, there's no national emergency.
Yeah, that was our original argument, was that we need to combat terrorism by knowing who comes in and out of our country. And we can only do that by securing the border and creating a vetting process. And that was thwarted by globalists who hate America and want to have America destroyed and everything about it. And that's why we're in the situation we're in.
Right, absolutely. And Ilhan Omar, it's a little bit of a lengthy video, but check down in the description below. Click the link, take you to Gateway Pundit. She is full-blown Muslim. She wears the garb and the hijab. She is beholden to Islam, which is incompatible with any culture. There is no coexisting. That coexist sign, if you took Islam off the coexist sign, all of them coexist. You stick Islam in that coexist.
The whole thing obliterates, yeah.
It ruins the whole thing. So she's ranting about Christians and Christian ideologies in America and how this puts women back into slavery like herself.
Yeah, it is a very fascinating thing that they're so open and proud of being put into bondage the way that they are. I can't really explain it. It's almost like a trade-off maybe that they're making, that somehow this ideology is so desirable to them personally that they're willing to subjugate their self in every way, shape, and form.
Right.
That's what it's really boiled down to.
Definitely. And talked to you about this yesterday with the situation with Ben Carson not knowing a word and then making fun of him.
Did you hear the new news on that?
And the Oreo cookies and he got her a family pack, and I wondered why. And I looked at her. She's a family pack woman.
Okay. So did they double stuff though? Yeah. I mean, that's important. And have you seen the chocolate covered ones?
Okay, Ilhan goes.
I'm getting hungry over here.
Right, Ilhan goes.
That fasting, man. I can't get through it.
She piles on. See, these people, they're piling on. She piles on. Ben Carson, homelessness rose for the second year in a row last year. 55,000 kids could lose their home. Being a brilliant surgeon doesn't make you qualified to run HUD. We need someone who values every living person right to dignified housing. Replying to Ben Carson, and Carson said, since you brought it up, I know what it's like to be a little sleepy after 18 hours of surgery and operating on babies in the womb. Mm-hmm. I hope Ilhan knows I care about all people, even those she doesn't recognize as to have the right to life.
Well, it turns out that when she said was it ERO?
Yeah.
And he said Oreo, and she snapped. Very disrespectful, by the way. I think most people would have said in his position would have said, you know what? I don't really like your attitude towards me. I think it's kind of disrespectful. I think you need to be a little bit more respectful of somebody in these positions. I would have passed her up, but he fielded it anyway. When he said Oreo and she decided to pounce like she saw blood in the water.
Right.
Turns out that Oreo, as related to ERO, is actually a real acronym that he thought she said.
Oh, damn it, man.
And it's real. Oreo is a real acronym with regards to his job. She clearly didn't know it because when she heard Oreo, she thought, he doesn't know. Turns out he was referencing a real acronym that she clearly didn't know. So the egg goes on her face, and she's so disrespectful. She should be pulled away from people in power because why do that? Why do that?
Well, that's what Democrats do. They're bullies. They're the bullies in the House.
Yeah, she seemed very, very nasty.
Now, what is your thought on this? At Larry Elder, the sage from South Central, why #HUD should be abolished. In theory, oversight is provided by bureaucrats in Washington. In practice, the feds turn a blind eye to inefficient usage of the funds while local officials gleefully engage in politically advantageous graft.
Well, there you go. I mean, that's very well put. I 100% agree with that. We all know that anything run by the government that costs a lot of money is a lot of wasted money. And like I never really heard it put so well, but yes, the locals who are receiving this money end up turning into these corrupt people that are like, how can I get a chunk of this pie? How can I basically screw the taxpayer, the federal taxpayer nationally, so that I can get all my stuff done or line my pockets at the local level. Yeah, I mean, it's very well put.
Go all the way back with Obama and the electric energy, the electric freebie.
Enron,
the freebie.
Not Enron, but Solyndra.
Who's not going to
That's a perfect example.
Who's not going to take a piece of that? I mean, it's unfortunate. You're playing on human nature and human greed.
Well, look at our own trolley, our own choo-choo train we have downtown. Yeah. It's like a 1 mile track to nowhere. It costs like hundreds of millions, maybe billions, whatever it was. It was so astronomically expensive. It was mostly paid by the federal government. Our local government was like, yeah, bring it in. We'll build whatever. You want us to build a train? You want us to build a choo-choo? We'll do it. Turns out it was way over budget. It lined all the pockets of the unions, union bosses, whatever. All the local politicians, everybody lined their pockets. All of a sudden they found out, we can't afford it because it was more expensive than what we thought a little choo-choo train was going to cost. Instead of being able to cancel it, because the federal government said, no, we want our money back if you cancel it.
They spent the $80 million already.
Yes.
And we had to cough up another $40 million to finish it.
Yes. So we ended up deciding to take the lesser loss by finishing it. Fast forward to today, nobody's riding it. They completely falsified and inflated the kind of income that it would earn, revenue that it would earn. And now it's just an albatross.
And they complain, the unions and the employees, well, not the employees, but the unions and the people running the train complained that running the train during baseball games, football games, events, big events, they're suffering a massive, massive loss because more people are riding the trains and they have to have more workers and more people manning the
So they're losing more.
So they're losing exponentially more money.
it's too short to be practical.
Yeah.
So the businesses aren't even benefiting from it. So what Larry Elder was just saying was perfectly stated.
Government shouldn't pick winners or losers. And just to wrap this up, this at real Donald Trump, the Democrats are getting nothing done in Congress. All their efforts is about a redo of the Mueller report, which didn't turn out the way they wanted. It is not possible for them to investigate and legislate at the same time. Their heart is not into infrastructure, as we found out that to be true. Drug prices, pre-existing conditions, and our great vets, all they're geared up to do. 6 committees is squandering time day after day trying to find anything, which will be bad for me. A sure fishing expedition like this never happened before, should never happen again.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they're so short-sighted. They don't even imagine that if the Republicans wanted to, they could do the same thing to them the next Democrat president comes along.
He even made the case. He said, if this was a Democrat president next, Republicans could do this to you. This should be stopped, that nobody should do it.
Right.
And while Donald Trump is hard at work, Democrats are screaming and crying. He posted this video on Twitter. I want to welcome all to the White House as we award our very bravest law enforcement officers and firefighters our nation's highest public safety award, the Medal of Valor. And this at Francis_712, serious crimes, Trump. It's time to turn the tables, bring justice to the people who have committed serious crimes, spying or treason.
Awesome. You know, this all goes along something that I theorized really early on, is that I think that they're pushing even harder and going to investigate even harder because now we're going to investigate the investigators. But going all the way back to the very, very beginning when the inauguration, all that stuff was happening, I pointed out in multiple places that I was a guest host and on this show that, you know, they did this coup d'etat attempt because they thought that we're all going to jail if we don't pull this off. If we don't get rid of him, we are all going to jail. But I theorize that if they just gone to him in private and said, listen, we've been doing a lot of bad things and we will support you in a positive, supportive presidency if you just turn a blind eye. I think it would have worked.
Forget about what we did.
But if not, we are going to go all in and this is going to ruin your presidency. And I don't know, man. Or if they just ignored it, I don't think he would have ever even found out. Think about it. You got Obama bureaucrats from top to bottom as he's transitioning into the presidency. They could have just hid this from him. But the fact that they thought that they needed to do a coup d'etat and remove him from the presidency in order to save their own butts may end up being their downfall.
Right.
So,
right. Absolutely, 100%. And real quick, as we round everything out, I just tell you, Julie Rinkwin, I follow back MAGA. Absolutely follow her. She's a great one to follow. She's the one that posted up the Dinesh D'Souza video. And I'll just throw this out there. He talks about what happened during the Civil War when the South started to execute black soldiers from the North.
Ooh, okay.
Abraham Lincoln.
I know that was a threat, but I never heard of any examples.
Right. Abraham Lincoln had to make a quick decision he made. He told the South, for every single black soldier that you execute, we will execute one of yours that we have captive. 1 for 1.
That's pretty rough.
Had to be, probably
like that kind of stuff wouldn't fly today.
In a civil war, I don't know, man. So, but anyways, his whole point was that Donald Trump needs to send the National Guard to places like Berkeley, to places like San Francisco, where free speech is being silented. I say send them to the border. I know there's more troops are being allotted for the border. We got to just
absolutely. I think
forward.
we should defend our borders as if it was the Soviet Union that was sharing a border with us, and we wouldn't want them to flood our borders back in the Cold War. I think that we should have National Guard there to prevent an invasion of any kind.
Absolutely. And folks, you're watching New Right Network's original series, SmythTV. Your host, Brian Smith and
Carrie Smith.
Giving you all the breaking news of the day, wrapping it all up, making sense of it, exposing the fake news, giving you the real news. Monday through Friday, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern. And stay tuned right after the show. Wayne Dupree comes on at 8 o'clock. Jump over to Wayne Dupree Show on Twitter, New Right Network, and also America's Voice as well. For Friday Thoughts, Friday Motivation, have a good weekend, guys. We'll see you back here on Monday.
Have a good one.
You've been listening to New Right Network, mobilizing, countering, energizing. Online at newrightnetwork.com.